Okay, so today we're going to talk about how to build a website in Windows Azure. So basically you just click on website, create a website, and that kind of gives you this idea of what you can do. You can either do a quick create with a URL, a custom create if you want to have a database or no database. You can also do from gallery, and this will go through and find pre-existing things already within here. So if you want to do something with .NET Nuke, if you want to do something with Drupal, ASP.NET empty site, a starter site, a bakery, some kind of boilerplate that you have, and just basically future safe, some kind of composite CMS, Dustblock, Django, Drupal, Commerce, and all the rest of it. You can kind of go through and take a look at it. In terms of how things go, you can basically choose whatever you want to do. The good part is that they have all these other things. What we're just going to do is we're just going to do a quick WordPress website because those are pretty darn easy. You have to give it a name. Then you want to remember this. Create a new MySQL database. Let's put it in North Central U.S. We could go ahead. Let's go ahead and put it in the West U.S. And then we go ahead and we can go. That's the name for the database. You may want to hold some of this stuff off, so if you need to keep track of stuff, what you can do is just kind of go into Notepad and say this is your MySQL database. So just in case there's information in here that you may want, and you have to assign their little ClearDB's terms of GA. So ClearDB. This is kind of interesting. If they have something tied up, you can actually go through and say, okay, so they have their own kind of thing where they go. So you may have to use a third party or something else that goes along with that, and then go ahead and do what you need to do with it. And then what it will do is we'll go ahead and set all this stuff up as you kind of go through it, and it will go ahead and create it for you. So here's what makes this kind of interesting. It takes a little bit of time for stuff to create, and if you're curious about what it's doing, it goes ahead and will tell you what it's trying to do in terms of how it's actually working and all the parts and bits and pieces of it. They go into a real quick WordPress site. It's kind of cool that they use the MySQL backend to kind of go along with this, and you can just basically kind of see and let it go through and do its thing. So we'll pick this back up when it's all done creating the website. Okay, so here's something that's kind of interesting. This actually failed. So the state cannot contact server to determine the state of the website. So that's kind of interesting in its own right in terms of trying to go through and get the process. If you see this, it will give you that little kind of exclamation mark down here, and then you can go into the details and you can kind of see where provisioning happened to fail. So, and this is what makes this thing so much more interesting in terms of not just things that work, but things that kind of go wrong with all the rest of it as well. So basically, technically, you're supposed to be able to do it this way. Choose from gallery. Let's go ahead and choose Drupal. Drupal may just work okay, and then we don't have to sweat it. We'll give it another. Kind of go through and do it, and then that kind of gives you the other things you need to do and all the rest of it. So database and website regions are not the same region. So you have to put everything in the same area. And then we go ahead and we go from there. So we probably want to keep track of that. So our Drupal user. User is going to be D7 user. And odds are highly likely that everything is going to be D7 user. So if you're doing this, has one uppercase, one lowercase. So specify database settings. Server, we'll go ahead and we'll use that as a name. And then we choose a server. So we'll go ahead and do that, and we'll do web, so we won't do anything really overly weird with it. Kind of just stick around with that, and we'll see if this will go and see what ends up happening. So we'll hold on to that, and we'll see if this one fails out too. Okay, so we've been basically waiting here for about an hour for this Drupal website to come up, and it seems to be stuck in creating. And this is going to be the drawback to anything that you do online, anything that you do in terms of cloud computing, is if something gets stuck, there's really no way to do anything with it. There's no controls. You can't, again, it's just a simple setup. So there's nothing here you can do. There's no shutdown. There's no reboot. There's no way to go back and take a look at it. You could go back through and actually take a look at the element, but it's not going to tell you anything to do with it at all. It's just basically you're stuck. You're stuck while you're waiting for this thing to actually do anything. And it's going to be a problem. Even if you go back to websites and you go back into here, the main screen, there is like nothing that you can do. So, and that's going to be the drawback to anything. It's kind of interesting that it happens to be with Windows Azure. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and stop this video and just kind of go along with it and let it run from here. And we'll come back and we'll see if anything actually happens. But it's going to be interesting.